The stars flickered in the view screen as Admiral Tay studied the blue-green planet. His gray fingers tapped against the command chair as he watched Earth turning slowly below his cloaked ship. "Such a beautiful world," he said. And soon, another, jewel in the Empire's crown. The Haldoran Empire had conquered 37 worlds in the last decade alone. Their ships were feared across 3 galactic arms. When they arrived, planets surrendered. Those that didn't were made examples of. "Scans. Complete, Admiral," said Officer Sung, her eyes fixed on her console. "The humans have basic satellites, a small space station, and a handful of primitive vessels that barely leave their atmosphere." Admiral Tay smiled. "No energy shields? No particle weapons?" "None detected, sir. They still use chemical rockets and projectile weapons." The Admiral's laugh echoed across the bridge. "The conquest will be brief. We'll add their resources to our empire before the next cycle." What the Haldorans didn't know was that deep beneath the North American continent, Colonel Kim stood in Earth's most secret facility, watching the alien ships with perfect clarity. "They're exactly where we expected," she said to General Park. "The Haldoran Empire, just as the crashed ship's database warned us about." For 60 years, Earth had kept a secret. A Haldoran scout ship had crashed in the mountains. Its technology and databanks changed human understanding of the universe. Instead of announcing their discovery to the world, a small group of nations formed a hidden defense program. "Are the defensive systems ready?" asked General Park, his old face serious under the blue light of the command center. Colonel Kim nodded. "Shield network is at full capacity. Our weapons are locked on every ship in their fleet. We can activate everything in under 30 seconds. "And they suspect nothing?" "Nothing. Our technology masks are working perfectly. They see only what we want them to see." In orbit, Captain Lee prepared her small shuttle. Her mission was simple but dangerous. Approach the alien flagship under the pretense of diplomatic talks while Earth's defenses powered up completely. "Remember," General Park told her over the comm, "make them believe we're scared and primitive. The longer they underestimate us, the better our position." Captain Lee adjusted her simple uniform. It was deliberately old-fashioned, with visible stitching and basic materials. Nothing like the advanced nanofiber suits Earth's forces actually used. "Don't worry," she replied. "I'll give them the performance of a lifetime." On the Haldoran flagship, Admiral Tay prepared his standard conquering speech. He had delivered it many times before. "Activate the translator," he ordered. "Let's introduce ourselves to our new subjects." Every screen on Earth suddenly changed. Regular broadcasts disappeared, replaced by Admiral Tay's face. His gray skin and large black eyes caused panic in cities worldwide. "People of Earth," he began, his voice electronically converted to English and other human languages. "I am Admiral Tay of the Haldoran Empire. Your planet has been selected for inclusion in our domain. Surrender your resources and accept our rule, and you may live peacefully as our subjects. Resist and face destruction. You have 1 hour to respond." The message ended. Across Earth, people looked to the sky in fear, but in the underground command center, Colonel Kim and General Park exchanged knowing looks. "Send the response we prepared," ordered the general. "Tell them our leaders are afraid and wish to discuss surrender terms. Ask them to allow a single shuttle to approach." In space, Admiral Tay received the message with satisfaction. "See how quickly they fold?" he told Commander June. "These primitive species are all the same. They see our power and lose their will to fight." Commander June nodded but looked concerned. "Should we scan their shuttle for weapons before allowing it to dock?" "Why bother?" The Admiral laughed. "Their most advanced weapons couldn't scratch our hull. Let them come and bow before us." As Captain Lee's shuttle left Earth's atmosphere, she activated a small device in her pocket. Across the planet, defense systems silently came online. Invisible shields expanded to cover major cities. Weapon platforms hidden on the moon and under the oceans powered up. "This is Earth shuttle approaching Haldoran vessel," she transmitted, making her voice shake slightly. "We come in peace to discuss terms." Admiral Tay watched the tiny shuttle approach, so small, so primitive. The foolish humans didn't even know enough to be properly afraid. He had no idea that the timer on Earth's defense network had started counting down. 5 minutes was all they would need. Captain Lee's shuttle moved slowly toward the massive Haldoran flagship. The alien vessel was huge, nearly 3 kilometers long, with sharp edges that made it look like a metal knife cutting through space. "You are cleared to dock in Bay 4, came the Haldoran voice through her communication system. "Any aggressive moves will result in your immediate destruction." "Understood," Captain Lee replied, adding a slight tremble to her voice. "We are unarmed and come only to discuss peaceful terms." As her shuttle entered the giant ship, she observed everything carefully. The Haldorans had designed their docking bay with high ceilings and intimidating weapon turrets pointed at arriving vessels. It was meant to frighten visitors, and for most species it probably worked well. 6 gray-skinned Haldoran soldiers waited as her shuttle landed. They stood perfectly still, their black armor reflecting the harsh lights above. Each carried an energy rifle that could vaporize a human in seconds. Captain Lee stepped out alone, dressed in a simple blue uniform with minimal decorations. She had deliberately left off any advanced technology, carrying only a basic tablet that appeared primitive by Haldoran standards. "Follow," ordered the lead soldier without any greeting. Captain Lee walked between the guards, observing everything, while pretending to be nervous. Her real mission was to gather final intelligence on Haldoran ship layouts, while Earth's defenses reached full power. Back on Earth, Colonel Kim watched through Captain Lee's hidden camera. Their ship design matches. "Our database exactly," she told General Park. "Defense grid is at 70% and rising." The general nodded. "The other Haldoran ships are holding position. They're so confident they're not even in battle formation." In 50 hidden locations around Earth, massive energy collectors drew power from the planet's core. Orbital platforms, disguised as space junk, activated one by one. The lunar base, hidden on the dark side of the moon for decades, powered up its main systems. Aboard the flagship, Captain Lee was led to a large chamber with a circular table. Admiral Tay sat on an elevated chair looking down at where she would sit. The room's design was another psychological tactic: make the visitors look up at their new masters. "Sit," commanded Admiral Tay, gesturing to a small chair. "Captain." Lee bowed slightly and sat down, keeping her head lowered in apparent submission. "Your planet's response is wise," said the Admiral. "Quick surrender saves lives. The Empire requires only 3 things from Earth: your resources, your obedience, and a portion of your population for labor." Captain Lee looked up with practiced fear. "Labor? You mean taking people from Earth?" Admiral Tay smiled, showing sharp teeth. "Only the strongest. They will serve the Empire on other worlds. The rest may continue their lives under our supervision." On the command ship's bridge, Commander June studied the sensor readings with growing concern. "Admiral," he called through the communication system, "our deep scans are detecting unusual energy patterns from the planet. Probably their primitive power plants working harder than usual," Admiral Tay replied dismissively. "Continue monitoring, but do not interrupt our meeting." In the conference room, Captain Lee checked her hidden timer. 3 more minutes before Earth's defenses would be fully operational. "How many people would you take?" she asked, stalling for time. "Perhaps 10 million to start," said Admiral Tay casually. "More is needed." Captain Lee allowed real anger to flash across her face before hiding it. The Admiral noticed and laughed. "Your emotions are so visible," he said. "This is why primitive species like yours must be guided by the Empire. You lack control." Commander June's voice came through again, more urgent now. "Admiral, the energy readings are increasing, and we're detecting unusual movements in Earth orbit." This time Admiral Tay frowned. "What movements?" "Small objects changing position. They appeared to be debris, but they're moving with purpose." Captain Lee kept her expression neutral, but inside she smiled. The orbital defense platforms were taking their final positions. "Perhaps you should check on this," she suggested innocently. "We wouldn't want any misunderstandings." Admiral Tay stood abruptly. "Commander, bring the fleet to alert status. Scan everything in this system again." He turned to Captain Lee. Is this some kind of trick? Captain Lee stood slowly, her act of submission falling away. Her posture straightened, and her voice became firm. Not a trick, Admiral. A correction of your misunderstanding. You see, we've known about the Haldoran Empire for 60 years, ever since one of your scout ships crashed on our planet. Admiral Tay's eyes widened. Impossible. No scout ship was lost in this sector. Oh, but it was, Captain Lee replied. And we learned everything from it. Your technology, your tactics, your weaknesses. Her timer reached 0. Throughout the Haldoran fleet, alarms began to sound as Earth's true technological face was revealed. Admiral, Commander June's voice was nearly a shout now. Massive energy signatures appearing everywhere. The planet has shields, weapons. Admiral Tay stared at Captain Lee in disbelief. The human was no longer cowering. Instead, she looked at him with calm confidence. You should return to your bridge, Admiral, she said. You have about 5 minutes to reconsider your position. Admiral Tay rushed onto the bridge of his flagship, his face tight with anger. The main screen showed Earth, but the planet was different now. A faint blue shield shimmered around it, visible even from orbit. What is happening? He demanded. Commander June looked up from his console, his gray face pale with worry. The humans have activated advanced defensive systems, Admiral. Nothing like what our scans showed earlier. Impossible. Admiral Tay slammed his fist on the command chair. Their technology is primitive. They barely leave their atmosphere. Captain Lee had been escorted to the bridge under guard. Now she spoke calmly. We let you see what we wanted you to see, Admiral. Earth has been preparing for this day for 60 years. The Admiral turned to her, his black eyes narrowed. No primitive species could hide such technology from our scans. We're not primitive, Captain Lee replied. We simply appear that way. It's a survival strategy. On the main screen, small objects began to emerge from Earth's moon. Dozens, then hundreds of small craft appeared, their design unlike anything the Haldorans had seen before. All ships, open fire, Admiral Tay ordered. Target their major cities and these new vessels. The Haldoran fleet fired in unison. 50 massive energy beams struck Earth's shield. The blue barrier rippled but held strong. Shields holding at 100%, reported Officer Sung, disbelief in her voice. On Earth, Colonel Kim watched the attack on the command center's main screen. They fired their first shot, she reported to General Park. Shields absorbed all energy, no damage. General Park nodded. They've made their choice. Begin Phase 1. Captain Lee saw the change in the Earth forces and took a small step back. From the Haldoran officers, "What are you doing?" demanded Admiral Tay. "Creating distance," she replied. "I'd suggest you all brace yourselves." Before anyone could respond, the first wave of Earth's defense hit the Haldoran fleet. Hundreds of tiny drones, each no bigger than a human hand, swarmed around the Haldoran ships. They attached to hulls and began sending signals that disrupted the ship's systems. "Weapons going offline," shouted Commander June. "Communications failing." Admiral Tay watched in horror as red warning lights flashed across his bridge. "Activate secondary systems. Shoot those things down." But the Haldoran weapons wouldn't fire. The tiny drones had inserted themselves into key systems, shutting down everything except life support and basic gravity. From the moon, larger Earth vessels now approached. They emitted waves of energy that further disabled the Haldoran fleet. 1 minute has passed, Captain Lee said quietly. "You have 4 minutes remaining." Admiral Tay turned to her, rage on his face. "What are these weapons? How did you develop them?" "We learned from your crashed ship," she explained. "We studied every bit of your technology and improved upon it. Those nanite drones are disabling your systems without destroying them. We don't want to kill you, Admiral, just stop you." On Earth, Colonel Kim monitored the battle. Phase 1 complete. The Haldoran fleet is disabled. Beginning Phase 2. General Park gave the order. Launch the boarding vessels. Small, fast ships left Earth's atmosphere, heading directly for the Haldoran vessels. Each carried 20 soldiers, equipped with advanced armor that the Haldorans had never seen before. On the flagship's bridge, Admiral Tay watched helplessly as his entire fleet hung motionless in space. The ship's engines were off. Weapons wouldn't fire. Even internal doors wouldn't open properly. "How can this be happening?" whispered Commander June. "They were supposed to be easy to conquer." Captain Lee looked at her timer. 3 minutes have passed, Admiral. Your fleet is completely disabled. You will pay for this," Admiral Tay shouted. "The Empire will send thousands more ships." "They won't," Captain Lee replied calmly. "Because right now we're downloading your entire database, star charts, communication codes, fleet positions, everything." Admiral Tay's eyes widened in horror. "Stop her," he ordered his guards, but they couldn't move. Their armor had locked in place, frozen by the same technology that disabled the ships. "Your personal armor runs on the same system as your ships," Captain Lee explained. "We control it now." On the main screen, they could see Earth vessels attaching to each Haldoran ship. Armored humans entered through airlocks and docking bays. They carried non-lethal weapons that could disable a Haldoran with a single shot without killing them. 4 minutes, announced Captain Lee. The bridge doors opened. 5 Earth soldiers entered, their armor sleek and far more advanced than the frozen Haldoran suits. They carried compact weapons that hummed with energy. "Admiral Tay," said the lead soldier, "your ship is now under Earth control. Your crew will not be harmed if they cooperate." Admiral Tay stared in disbelief. His mighty fleet, pride of the Haldoran Empire, had been defeated in less than 5 minutes, without a single death, without destroying a single ship. 5 minutes, Captain Lee said, turning off her timer. "The war is over, Admiral." Across space, all 50 Haldoran ships hung powerless. The mighty Empire's fleet had been defeated in exactly 5 minutes, just as Earth had planned. Admiral Tay sat in a comfortable room with large windows overlooking the blue oceans and green continents of Earth. The room wasn't a prison cell, though he couldn't leave. It had soft furniture, clean facilities, and even entertainment systems. The humans called it protective custody. It had been 3 days since the 5-minute war. 3 days since his mighty fleet had been captured without firing a single effective shot. 3 days of confusion and wounded pride. The door opened and Colonel Kim entered carrying a tablet. She wore a simple uniform with minimal decorations, nothing like the elaborate dress of Haldoran military leaders. "Good morning, Admiral," she said, sitting across from him. "I trust you slept well?" Admiral Tay didn't answer. His pride was still too hurt for pleasant conversation. Colonel Kim nodded as if she understood. "Today I'd like to show you something." She activated her tablet and a large screen on the wall lit up. It showed all 50 Haldoran ships, now in Earth orbit, surrounded by smaller Earth vessels. "Your ships are intact," Colonel Kim explained. "Your crews are being well treated. We've provided them with comfortable quarters similar to yours." "Why?" Admiral Tay finally asked. "Why not destroy us when you had the chance? Any other species would have." Colonel Kim set down her tablet. "Because that's not who we are, Admiral. Humans have a long history of war among ourselves. We've learned some hard lessons about violence and revenge." She tapped the tablet again, and the screen changed to show a large underground facility. "This is where we kept the crashed Haldoran ship," she explained. 60 years ago, it came down in a remote area. There were 2 survivors. Admiral Tay leaned forward despite himself. "What happened to them?" "We treated their injuries. We learned their language. When they realized they couldn't return home, they chose to help us understand your technology." And the Riku screen showed 2 elderly Haldorans working alongside humans in a laboratory. "Those are my people," Admiral Tay whispered. "They helped you?" "They did," Colonel Kim confirmed. "They told us about the Empire's expansion, about how you conquer world after world. They helped us prepare our defenses." "Traitors," Admiral Tay hissed. Colonel Kim shook her head. "They're still alive, Admiral. They've lived peaceful, productive lives here. Would you like to meet them?" Before Admiral Tay could answer, the door opened again. Captain Lee entered with Commander June. "Your second-in-command has requested to speak with you," Captain Lee explained. "We've granted permission." Commander June looked different. He stood taller, less rigid than before. His Haldoran uniform had been cleaned, but the Imperial insignia had been removed. "Commander," Admiral Tay acknowledged coldly, "what news do you bring?" Commander June sat beside Colonel Kim. "I've been working with the humans, Admiral. They've shown me their world, their civilization. It's not what we were told. They've brainwashed you," Admiral Tay accused. "No," Commander June replied firmly. "They've simply shown me the truth. The Empire told us we bring order to primitive worlds, but Earth isn't primitive. They could have destroyed us, but they chose not to." On the screen, new images appeared. Earth cities with advanced technology, hidden facilities where humans had developed their defensive systems, and the massive underground energy network that powered their planetary shield. "While the Empire conquers, these humans build," Commander June continued. "They have art, music, diverse cultures. They argue and disagree but still work together. It's nothing like what the Empire told us." Admiral Tay turned away from the screen. "What do they plan to do with us, with our ships?" Colonel Kim answered, "We've already begun. Your ship's databases have given us star charts and communications codes. We now know the locations of all Empire-controlled worlds." Admiral Tay's face showed his horror. "You're planning to attack the Empire?" "No," Colonel Kim said firmly. "We're planning to free it." Captain Lee stepped forward. "Messages are already being sent to other conquered worlds. We're sharing our defensive technology with them, the knowledge to resist without destroying," Commander June added. "Many of your crew have chosen to help, Admiral. Once they understood what the Empire has really been doing, they wanted change." Admiral Tay stared at his second-in-command. "You would betray everything? Our history? Our ways?" "I would help create something better," Commander June replied. "The Empire has conquered for so long, we've forgotten how to live any other way. These humans are showing us an alternative." Colonel Kim stood. "In 2 days, representatives from Earth's nations will meet to decide our next steps. We would like you to attend, Admiral." "Why would I help you?" Admiral Tay asked bitterly. "Because deep down you must know the Empire's way isn't working," Colonel Kim replied. "Your people could be so much more than conquerors. You could be explorers, creators, partners." As Colonel Kim and Captain Lee left, Commander June remained. The two Haldorans sat in silence for several minutes. "Is it true?" Admiral Tay finally asked. "Are our crew really helping them?" Commander June nodded. "Almost 80% have volunteered. They're excited, Admiral. For the first time, they're seeing a future that isn't just endless conquest." Admiral Tay looked back at the view of Earth, seeing it with new eyes. The planet his empire had thought defenseless had changed everything in just 5 minutes. 6 weeks had passed since the 5-minute war. Ambassador Lee stood on the bridge of the Earthship Peace, watching the stars streak by. The vessel, once hidden beneath the Atlantic Ocean, was now Earth's first official diplomatic ship. "We're approaching the Narration system," said the pilot. "Their central planet should appear on screen soon." Ambassador Lee nodded. This was humanity's 5th diplomatic mission in as many weeks. Each one had been successful beyond expectations. Behind her stood a surprising figure, Admiral Tay. He wore a new uniform without imperial insignia, serving now as an advisor to the Earth diplomatic team. "The Narrans were among the first worlds, conquered by the Empire," he explained. "They've been under imperial control for over 200 years. And now they'll be the first to formally join Earth's defensive alliance," Ambassador Lee replied. The main screen lit up with an image of a beautiful green planet covered in vast forests. Around it orbited 3 Haldoran warships, now flying under Earth control. Admiral Tay's decision to join the humans had shocked everyone, including himself. But after 2 weeks of seeing Earth's true civilization, its art, its diversity, its respect for life, something had changed within him. "Signal coming in from the planet," announced the communications officer. The screen changed to show the face of a Narran, a tall being with leaf-like skin and gentle eyes. "Earth vessel, we welcome you," said the Narran leader. "Your arrival brings hope we haven't felt in generations." Ambassador Lee stepped forward. Premier Doc, we bring technology and knowledge to help your people. On the planet below, crowds gathered in cities to watch the Earth ship's arrival on large screens. For 2 centuries, they had lived under imperial rule, their resources stripped, their people used as labor. Now everything was changing. Back on Earth, Colonel Kim stood in the Global Command Center, monitoring defensive systems across the planet. Messages flowed in from dozens of worlds seeking alliance with Earth. General Park, we're receiving another emergency signal, she reported. A rebellion has broken out in the Coda system. They've driven off their imperial governor but need defensive technology before reinforcements arrive. General Park, looking older but energized by recent events, nodded. Send Commander June with relief supplies and defense systems. His knowledge of imperial tactics will help them prepare. Across the galaxy, the Haldoran Empire was facing something it had never encountered before: organized, coordinated resistance. Earth's defensive technology spread from planet to planet, allowing even the smallest worlds to stand against imperial warships. In the Grand Imperial Palace on the Haldoran homeworld, panic reigned. The High Council gathered in emergency session, their usual confidence replaced by fear. 50 ships gone, 12 systems in open rebellion, communication networks compromised, shouted Council Leader Bin. How could primitives cause such damage? An elderly advisor stepped forward. They aren't primitives, Council Leader. Intelligence reports suggest Earth has been preparing for decades. They studied our technology from a crashed scout ship. The lost ship from the Dren expedition? That was 60 years ago. Yes, and in that time they not only matched our technology but improved upon it. Their approach is different, defensive rather than offensive. Council Leader Bin pounded his fist on the table. Send the Grand Fleet, crush this Earth and make an example of them. The advisor hesitated. The Grand Fleet has already departed. Council Leader, but not to attack Earth. What? On whose authority? Fleet Admiral Sung has declared independence from the Council. 3/4 of our military forces have followed him. Across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. The mighty Haldoran Empire was collapsing from within. Centuries of conquest were ending not with a massive war but with a peaceful revolution. On the Naren homeworld, Ambassador Lee stood before their governing council. Admiral Tay translated as needed, though most Narens understood human languages. Earth offers not conquest but partnership, Ambassador Lee explained. We share our defensive technology freely, asking only that you do the same for others when they need help. Premier Dak and his council were amazed. The Empire took everything and gave nothing. You offer everything and ask almost nothing in return. Why? Ambassador Lee smiled. Because we learned long ago that true strength comes from cooperation, not domination. The Empire thought Earth was defenseless because they couldn't see weapons, but our greatest weapon was our humanity, our capacity to learn, to grow, and to choose peace over war whenever possible. As she spoke, news arrived that 3 more Imperial fleets had declared independence. The Empire that had stood for 1,000 years was transforming in a matter of weeks. That night, Admiral Tay stood alone on an observation deck watching the stars. Ambassador Lee found him there, his expression thoughtful. Having regrets? She asked. He shook his head. Wondering what might have been if the Empire had chosen your path from the beginning. We could have built something magnificent together instead of conquering. Ambassador Lee nodded. It's not too late. Your people can still be part of building something new. In the 6 weeks since the 5-minute war, the galaxy had changed more than in the previous 6 centuries. A new alliance was forming, based not on fear and power but on mutual protection and respect, and it had all started because an empire had underestimated a seemingly defenseless planet called Earth.